Hello, friends! Today we are going to explore one of the greatest mysteries of the past, the Tunguska disaster, which still remains unsolved. An explosion of such power that its echo was felt halfway around the world destroyed millions of trees in the depths of Siberia, but left no crater. What was it really? Was it a meteorite that exploded in midair, or something much more mysterious that left behind not only the torn-up taiga, but also numerous anomalies that still make your blood run cold? Today we will look at 3 stories that may shed light on the events of that day. Stay with us, it's going to be exciting. On the morning of the 30th of June, 1908, many people in Siberia experienced a day that will always remain in their memory. A dazzling object swooped over the taiga near the Podkamenaya Tunguska River, roaring across the sky and exploding with a power that today is compared to thousands of atomic bombs. The explosion was so powerful that it felled some 80 million trees over an area of more than 2,000 square kilometers, and the sound was heard for hundreds of kilometers around. Witnesses described it as a roar that split the sky. The blast wave was even felt in Europe. The most surprising thing was that after such a large-scale impact, not a single visible crater or meteorite fragment remained. For a century, researchers have been trying to unravel the cause of this anomaly. The first expeditions arrived at the crash site only decades later. In 1927, Soviet scientist Leonid Kulik organized the first major expedition. But instead of the expected crater, he and his team found many fallen trees scattered across the taiga, forming a giant crater. However, no debris or traces of the space object were found. The scientific world was divided, putting forward various versions, from a meteorite or comet explosion to a collision with an unknown object. Some scientists even suggested that it could have been a test of a new weapon. Over the decades, many hypotheses have been put forward, but each of them left new questions. Some argued that the object that caused the explosion could have been a comet that broke up in the atmosphere. Others believed that it was a piece of antimatter that collided with the object and caused an incredibly powerful explosion. In 2023, a group of geophysicists from universities in Germany and Russia traveled to the Tunguska taiga using the latest technology to conduct additional research. The main goal was to analyze the soil and search for microscopic particles that could remain after the explosion. The scientists used modern methods of spectroscopy and isotope analysis to detect even the smallest anomalies. During one of the deep borings at a depth of about 10 meters, they came across microscopic metal crystals whose composition did not correspond to any known natural object on Earth. Analysis of these metal particles revealed the presence of isotopes that are commonly found in meteorites. However, these samples had unusual impurities that, according to scientists, could not have occurred naturally. This led the researchers to believe that the object that caused the disaster could have been of artificial origin. They suggested that it could have been a spacecraft or other object created by a highly developed civilization. According to the data published in the 2024 reports, the features of the particles found indicated that the object that disintegrated in the atmosphere over Siberia was of a technological nature. Scientists suggested that the object could be alien or use technologies that humanity had not yet created. A hypothesis emerged that it could be a spacecraft crash or the remains of a technological experiment that ended in disaster. Other scientists began to discuss the possibility that it was a so-called probe that accidentally landed on Earth from another planet or even another galaxy. The new discoveries sparked lively discussions in the scientific community. Many began to talk about the possibility of ancient contact with extraterrestrial civilization. The isotopes and metals that were discovered were more like the material of a spacecraft than a fragment of a natural celestial body. This raises new questions. If it was a space probe, did it intend to make contact with humanity? Or did this object just happen to be on its way to Earth, resulting in a disaster? In April 2024, the scientists decided to conduct a second expedition to collect more data and try to answer the questions that arose from the analysis of the samples. During this expedition, they used drones equipped with modern sensors to detect anomalies in the magnetic field and thermal radiation. One of the most unexpected results was the discovery of anomalous magnetic zones at the crash site, which probably arose after the explosion. This led scientists to believe that the object could have had its own magnetic field or influenced the Earth's magnetosphere during its movement and collision. In addition, additional metal fragments were found which, according to the researchers, could be parts of the structure of the unknown device. Analysis of these fragments showed that they contain alloys that are practically not found on Earth, or their concentration is very atypical. This further strengthens the assumption of the extraterrestrial origin of the object. One of the fragments was particularly interesting because it contained complex nanostructures that were likely to have a technical purpose. The new discoveries aroused even greater interest, not only from scientists, but also from the public. Discussions about the possible extraterrestrial origin of the object have become global. Some scientists suggested that the object could be an exploration probe aimed at studying the Earth. Others, on the contrary, suggested that it could have been an accident during the testing of unknown technologies, perhaps even experimental weapons that remained incomprehensible to humanity. The Tunguska event still remains a mystery that attracts the attention of not only scientists, but also dreamers and truth seekers from around the world. Whether it was a natural disaster or the result of a collision with an extraterrestrial object, each new study only adds to the mystery of this phenomenon. Was it an extraterrestrial object? And if so, what could it have meant for humanity? Is it possible that this event is part of a larger plan or message that we have not yet been able to decipher? In the remote Siberian taiga, the Tunguska disaster is still one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Although more than 100 years have passed since the explosion, this mystery remains relevant, and the latest research only adds to the intrigue. The uniqueness of this event continues to arouse admiration and makes us wonder what exactly happened on the morning of the 30th of June, 1908. In 2024, a group of researchers from Japan and Russia, using artificial intelligence technologies, tried to analyze a huge amount of data collected over decades about the Tunguska disaster. The idea was to use modern technology to create models of the event and analyze various theories of its origin. Using satellite imagery, old photographs, topographic maps, and eyewitness accounts, the researchers were able to virtually recreate the scale and impact of the explosion. The modeling results showed that the shock wave propagated through the taiga along a specific trajectory, creating strips of fallen trees that formed a kind of spiral. This was surprising, as this pattern did not correspond to any known type of natural explosion. In the 2024 reports, the researchers suggested that, in addition to the super-powerful energy of the explosion, such an impact might have required special electromagnetic or gravitational fields that were unlikely to have been generated by a normal meteorite or comet impact. The conclusions about the nature of the blast wave were even more mysterious. A careful analysis of tree sections from the disaster area showed that many of them showed no signs of charring. Although the explosion was extremely powerful, it did not leave scorch marks, which could be expected from a high-temperature impact or a conventional meteorite. This prompted researchers to speculate about the anomalous nature of the explosion. According to the new theory, the object could have emitted a strong electromagnetic field that led to such a specific effect on the trees and soil. During the expedition, the researchers found other anomalous features that reinforced the hypothesis of an unknown object or technology. For example, in some soil samples, they found an increased concentration of tungsten, nickel, and palladium, elements that are usually rarely found in such high concentrations in natural conditions. This fact gave rise to speculation that the object could be of artificial origin and possibly technological. Scientists also found some small spherical objects that resembled tiny metal balls, which showed signs of severe corrosion, probably caused by high temperatures and pressure. Some researchers have suggested that these balls could have been part of the shell or structure of the exploded object. However, their chemical composition and structure did not match any known human-made materials. This added to the intrigue and led the scientific community to consider the hypothesis of contact with an object from another civilization. The study of objects from the Tunguska zone has led some scientists to theorize that the disaster could have been the result of a controlled explosion, possibly a spacecraft crash, from another civilization, or even a deliberately targeted technological event. In 2024, one of the theories that gained considerable popularity was related to the hypothesis of experimental space zones that could have had an impact on the Earth's atmosphere. This could explain the abnormal propagation of the shock wave in the absence of a crater. The mystery of the Tunguska disaster leaves many questions that have not yet been answered. Can we assume that this event was a random occurrence? Or is it evidence of contact with technology beyond human capabilities? Is it possible that there is other evidence that has not yet been discovered due to the complexity and remoteness of the area? What adds to the intrigue is that research is ongoing, and each new finding opens up new horizons. Regardless of whether it is a natural disaster or evidence of an external force, each new study only adds to the intrigue of the Tunguska catastrophe. There is still a lot of work to be done, and the scientific community is confident that sooner or later these mysteries will be solved. The Tunguska disaster is an event that remains one of the greatest mysteries of our planet to this day. The explosion, which occurred on the morning of the 30th of June, 1908, literally upended the taiga, cutting down more than 80 million trees and causing massive fish and animal deaths in this remote region of Siberia. Although no crater has ever been found, the effects of this mysterious phenomenon continue to raise questions and encourage researchers to seek answers about its nature. In 2024, thanks to new research and access to previously unseen data, new hypotheses have emerged that may shed light on the event. One of the most popular and debated theories in recent years is the hypothesis of an anti-gravity explosion that could have been caused by an unknown space object. Scientists from different countries joined together in a research project using powerful computing technology and high-definition satellite imagery to model a possible scenario. This scenario took into account the special trajectory of the object, which could have approached the Earth at an atypical angle and exploded at a certain height above the ground. Simulations carried out in 2024 showed that the object approaching the Earth could have its own electromagnetic field. When this field interacted with the atmosphere, intense energy flows occurred, leading to an explosion. Similar phenomena, albeit on a much smaller scale, are observed during thunderstorms, when air molecules collide with high-energy particles, causing electrical discharges. However, in the case of the Tunguska explosion, scientists believe that the impact was much more widespread. Among the new evidence that has become available in recent years, soil samples taken from the explosion site have attracted particular attention. A team of scientists studying these samples discovered unique crystal structures that do not occur naturally on Earth. These crystals had a complex chemical composition, including elements that are rare even in the Earth's crust. Some scientists suggest that these crystals could have been formed as a result of high temperatures and pressure during the object's interaction with the atmosphere, creating a short-term anti-gravity wave that allowed the object to explode in mid-air. In addition, attention was drawn to the testimonies of local residents who had been talking about a strange glow in the sky for many years shortly before the crash. It is believed that this fact may be evidence of the existence of an energy aura around the site. Modern researchers have also discovered that sometime after the disaster, trees and plants that regenerated in the Tunguska area developed abnormal mutations that cannot be explained by any factors known to science. A number of scientists believe that the radiation traces and changes in the plant life may indicate the impact of not only the shock wave, but also unknown cosmic particles. The most intriguing finding was the traces of high-frequency radiation recorded in the disaster area. In 2024, for the first time, scientists were able to determine that some magnetic anomalies, in particular those related to the Earth's electromagnetic field, became noticeable after the disaster. According to the new hypothesis, the explosion could have been caused by processes that occur when the Earth's magnetic fields interact with powerful space objects that have their own magnetic radiation. This could have caused a release of energy of such a magnitude that it caused an explosion without forming a crater. With the development of this hypothesis, a theory also emerged that the object that caused the explosion may not have been a meteorite, but an artificial object, possibly even a spacecraft. In documents that have recently become available, researchers have come across previously classified data on high-frequency radiation in the crash zone, which is believed to be of alien origin. Although it sounds like science fiction, the findings of unusual materials and traces of energy are forcing scientists to consider even the most daring assumptions. As part of the research programs, mutation tests were also carried out on local flora and fauna, which could indicate the presence of unknown energy influences. Some plant species exhibited abnormal traits, including unusual changes in cell structure and growth rate. Such findings further fuel theories that unique processes related to the impact of an unknown form of energy occurred in the disaster area. Thus, the Tunguska Catastrophe continues to amaze modern science with its versatility and mystery. Was it an accidental meteorite explosion? Or did we actually encounter something much more mysterious, related to unknown cosmic processes or even the technologies of another civilization? The Tunguska explosion remains a question to which humanity has not yet found a definitive answer, and each new study only adds new layers to this enormous mystery.